Imagine this. You're standing outside of a stadium, and there are fences where there weren't fences last month. Police uniforms from agencies you don't recognize, bag rules you didn't vote on, airspace restrictions you didn't notice until you're told to move. Cameras are everywhere, not hidden, not threatening, just working. Nothing feels hostile or chaotic or paused, and that's the point. During events like the World Cup, there's no halftime for systems that support it, no timeout for transportation, no reset for security, no break for borders, networks, or emergency services. For weeks at a time, everything has to keep moving, continuously, visibly, and under pressure. The World Cup begins in North America in just a few days, and while the world is watching the match, an entire nation is operating without stoppage. Today's Sitrep isn't about soccer. It's about what happens when modern systems are pushed to perform nonstop. This is no stoppage. Let's get to it. Hey everybody, welcome to Midweek Sitrep, your bi-weekly briefing on national security and the forces that shape it. My name is Jerry Fowler, and I'm your host. Every other week, I give you the context you need to see what's really going on so you can stay mission-focused. Before we go any further, let's be clear about what we're examining today. This episode isn't about scandal or secrecy, it's not a warning, and it's not a critique. It's more of a case study. Because mega events like the World Cup create a temporary operating environment where security, transportation, communications, commerce, and governance all have to function, all at once, without pause. Everything you're about to hear operates through existing law, negotiated agreements, and established authority. What changes isn't legitimacy, it's the tempo. Timelines compress, systems overlap, margins for error shrink. And that's what makes the World Cup so revealing. When millions of people, devices, transactions, and decisions move simultaneously and can't stop, we get a rare look at how modern societies actually perform under continuous pressure. Let's talk about it. So let's start with what everyone sees. We see the match, the crowds, the flags, the anthems, the broadcast countdown. The World Cup is one of the most watched events on the planet. Billions of viewers across time zones, millions of international visitors moving through airports, hotels, and city centers. Weeks of uninterrupted global attention. For host cities and host nations, that visibility matters. Tourism surges. Hotels fill months in advance. Airlines add routes. Transit systems run at capacity. Long-delayed infrastructure projects finally get funded, finished, and showcased. Stadiums are built or modernized. Rail lines are extended. Airports are upgraded. Public spaces are redesigned to be seen and remembered. This is soft power in its most practical form. Not through speeches or summits, just presence. But this is only the surface layer, because what the world experiences as celebration is made possible by something far less visible. An enormous amount of coordination, planning, and execution happening underneath the spectacle. The game may be the headline, but the event runs on systems. And to understand the World Cup, you have to understand what makes it work when the cameras aren't pointed. Hosting the World Cup isn't imposed on a city or a country. It's negotiated for. Years before the first match, host governments enter into detailed agreements with FIFA covering security coordination, commercial protections, operational standards, branding requirements, and logistics. These agreements don't suspend domestic law. They operate entirely within it. What changes isn't legality, it's tempo and density. Permits move faster. Agencies begin coordinating earlier. Jurisdictions that rarely interact are required to work side by side. Temporary rules are adopted to manage crowd flow, commerce, transportation, and public safety. This isn't governance breaking down. On the contrary, it's governance compressing. It's working fast. Normal governance is deliberately slow. It's built for deliberation, consultation, and routine conditions. But events of this scale don't allow for that routine. They require speed, synchronization, and clear lines of responsibility. What emerges isn't a new form of authority, but a deliberate increase in capacity, activated by choice, bounded in time, and governed by existing rules. Not because power expands, but because performance has to. Now, it's no surprise that any mass gathering increases risk. That isn't fear-based, it's statistical. When tens of thousands of people concentrate in one place, repeatedly across cities, over weeks, certain risk factors rise automatically. Public safety concerns, elevated terrorism threat assessments, medical and emergency response demands. That reality doesn't trigger panic, it triggers planning. Years before kickoff, security planning begins. Intelligence agencies coordinate across jurisdictions. Local, state, and federal authorities assign roles and responsibilities. Venue security is layered, not to intimidate, but to deter and detect. Medical services, evacuation routes, and contingency plans are rehearsed long before they're ever needed. Most fans never see any of this work, and that's exactly the point. Effective security doesn't announce itself. It doesn't disrupt the experience. It doesn't dominate the environment. When security is doing its job well, it feels like nothing special is happening at all. And when nothing happens, that isn't luck. It's competence. Quiet, deliberate, and practiced. Doing exactly what it was designed to do. Now, the World Cup doesn't just concentrate people, it concentrates systems. For weeks at a time, digital networks, physical infrastructure, financial platforms, and communication channels all operate at peak load, simultaneous, across multiple cities. That convergence is where risk scales. Let's talk about cyber and digital risk. Start with the digital layer, ticketing platforms, payment processors, public Wi-Fi networks, transportation systems, broadcast and streaming infrastructure. Each system works well on its own. The challenge is running all of them at once, under sustained global demand. Criminal groups look for fraud and credential theft. Scammers look for volume and distraction. Nation-state cyber actors quietly observe, not to disrupt the event, but to see how complex systems behave under pressure. High traffic, high noise, constant change, very little tolerance for downtime. From a defensive perspective, mega events become real-world stress tests for cyber resilience. And when those systems hold, success looks unremarkable. No outages, no headlines. No one noticing really anything at all. What about everyday crime and public order? Most challenges on the ground aren't dramatic, they're routine. There's pickpocketing, ticket fraud, counterfeiting, crowd congestion. These aren't national security crises, but managing them at scale matters. Small crimes, left unchecked, erode confidence. They shape how visitors experience a city. They influence whether an event feels orderly or unstable. That's why public order policing during major events focuses less on force and more on presence, visibility, and rapid response. Order isn't imposed, it's maintained. Then there's information. In dense, high-energy environments, rumors move faster than crowds. False alerts spread faster than facts. A single misleading post can cause confusion in minutes. An unverified report can trigger unnecessary panic. That's why communication becomes a security function. Clear messaging, trusted sources, consistent updates, rapid correction when misinformation appears. In modern events, managing information flow is as important as managing physical space, because confusion, even without malice, can be as disruptive as any physical incident. Then there's movement. For a few weeks, host countries become some of the busiest transit hubs on Earth. Millions of people arrive and depart across multiple cities, time zones, and transportation systems, often within tight windows tied to match schedules. Managing that surge requires coordination across expedited visa and entry processing, scaled customs and border operations, aviation and airport security coordination, and real-time data sharing across agencies. The objective isn't restriction, it's flow. Moving large volumes of people efficiently while still screening responsibly, without bottlenecks, confusion, or unnecessary delay. This isn't a political exercise. It's administrative capacity under pressure. Airports adjust staffing. Border systems scale temporarily. Agencies synchronize procedures that usually operate independently. When it works, the experience feels routine. Lines move. Connections hold. Travel feels normal. And that's the point. Because the success of a global event depends not on stopping movement, but on managing it so smoothly that no one has to think about it at all. So you may be wondering, why do cities and countries keep saying yes? Well, it's because the benefits are tangible. Tourism revenue flows in waves. Hotels, restaurants, transit, local businesses, they all feel it. Infrastructure investment accelerates. Projects that stall for years suddenly get funded, finished, and showcased. Temporary jobs scale up quickly, while permanent improvements remain long after the final match. And then there's visibility. For weeks, host cities are broadcast into living rooms all around the world. Their skylines, transit systems, public spaces, and people become part of the global narrative. That exposure matters. It shapes how a country is perceived, not through policy papers or speeches, but through experience. How easy it is to arrive, how safe it feels to move around, how well systems work under pressure. Hosting is expensive, and so is being overlooked. So for many governments, the World Cup is an opportunity to demonstrate competence, hospitality, and modern capacity, all at the same time in public view. It isn't just a sporting event, it's a diplomatic showcase on the global stage. Here's the takeaway. The World Cup doesn't create new powers. It reveals how modern systems already operate when coordination truly matters. It shows how quickly agencies can align when timelines shrink. How public and private actors cooperate when responsibilities are clear. How risk is managed deliberately without panic, spectacle, or overreaction. And how legitimacy is maintained even under sustained pressure. This isn't about control, it's about capacity. The ability to plan, coordinate, communicate, and execute at scale across jurisdictions, sectors, and borders. It's a core measure of national strength. And in a world defined by complexity, disruption, and competition, that capacity is a national security issue. Because the societies that function well under pressure are the ones best prepared for whatever comes next. The most impressive thing about the World Cup isn't the final score. It's that millions of people arrive, move, pay, celebrate, and then leave. And the systems never stop. No emergency declarations, no visible crisis, no sense that anything is slipping out of control. Just coordination, planning, execution, sustained, day after day after day. That's what competence looks like when there's no stoppage. The World Cup doesn't just test athletic endurance, it tests national capacity. Because when systems can operate continuously, in public, under pressure, with the world watching, they show us what modern societies are actually built to do. The biggest lesson of the World Cup isn't on the field. It's everything that keeps moving when the whistle never stops. And that's today's Sitrep. Make sure you keep up with Midweek Sitrep on Substack and YouTube for more on this and other topics. You'll find short clips, interviews, and bonus content. And if you want to support the show, check out our merch on everythingisnationalsecurity.com. Every shirt and hat helps keep us independent and growing. I'm Jerry Fowler, and remember, everything is national security. See you next time. Midweek Sitrep with Jerry Fowler is an independent production of OpScent Media Group, LLC. The information provided in this podcast is for general informational purposes only and does not constitute legal, financial, or professional advice. Listeners should consult with a qualified professional before making any decisions based upon the content discussed. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the host, Jerry Fowler, and any guest, and do not reflect the official policy, position, or endorsement of any current or former employer, client, government agency, military organization, educational institution, or any other entity for which the host, Jerry Fowler, may be affiliated. Mention of a company, product, or service does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation. Any references are provided for informational purposes only. This podcast does not disclose any classified, proprietary, or confidential information. All discussions are based upon publicly available information and personal expertise. Everything's national security. OpScent Media Group, LLC.